Did the Cleveland Browns just stumble onto their future franchise quarterback without even realizing it? That's the question NFL fans are suddenly whispering about, and the answer might shock you. Because the name-making waves in Cleveland right now isn't a big-name draft pick or a high-priced free agent. It's Shedeur Sanders, an undrafted rookie who wasn't supposed to be in this conversation at all. Think about it. Every year, the league spotlights the top quarterbacks from the draft, the first-round selections, the so-called can't-miss prospects, the guys who get showered with media attention before they even step onto an NFL field. Those are the players fans expect to hear about. Those are the players coaches are supposed to be building their futures around. But what happens when the guy nobody talked about, the one who slipped under every scout's radar, starts turning heads in ways that veterans can't ignore? That's the story unfolding in Cleveland right now. And if what we're hearing is true, this could be the most shocking quarterback story of the season. Here's why. Pro Bowl receiver Jeudy, a player who has caught passes from some of the league's best quarterbacks, just made a bold claim. He straight up admitted that Sanders has one of the best arms he's ever seen. Let that sink in. Jeudy isn't some rookie wideout trying to hype up a teammate. He's a respected veteran whose words carry weight in NFL locker rooms. When he says a young quarterback has top-tier arm talent, people listen. But Jeudy's comment was just the beginning. Behind the scenes, reports started surfacing about practice sessions where Sanders was torching defenders, hitting passes that made coaches stop what they were doing just to watch. Players who've been around the league for years suddenly found themselves doing double takes at what this undrafted kid was pulling off on the field. And then came the moment that really set off alarms around the NFL. Garrett, one of the most dominant defensive forces in football, pulled Sanders aside and told him something most rookies will never hear in their first year. Garrett looked him in the eye and said, "Be patient. We're going to need you this season." Think about that for a second. This isn't a casual pat on the back or the usual keep working hard kid kind of talk. This is one of the league's most respected leaders, a guy who faces elite quarterbacks every week, telling an undrafted rookie that he sees a future where that kid is taking meaningful snaps. That's not hype, that's belief. So how did Sanders get here? How did a player overlooked by scouts and ignored during the draft suddenly become the guy veterans can't stop talking about? That's the mystery, and it's why so many fans are glued to every report coming out of Cleveland. Is this just preseason buzz that will fade away once the real games begin? Or did the Browns just find their future in the most unexpected way possible? Because if the whispers are true, if Jeudy and Garrett are both seeing the same things, then Cleveland might be sitting on the NFL's best-kept secret. And here's the kicker. While the football world is distracted by flashy rookies and quarterback battles in other cities, Sanders is quietly building something special under the radar. He's earning respect the hard way, throw by throw, rep by rep, moment by moment. The only question left is this. When his chance finally comes, will Shedeur Sanders prove he's the Browns' hidden gem, or will he disappear like so many before him? Stay tuned, because this story is only getting started. Every rookie quarterback hears some version of the same lines during training camp. He's learning fast. He's got a lot of potential. We're excited to see how he develops. It's standard football talk, polite encouragement wrapped in cliches. But what Jeudy said about Shedeur Sanders? That was no cliche. That was a statement that made jaws drop across the league. Jeudy, a former first-round pick, a Pro Bowl-level receiver, and one of the smoothest route runners in the NFL, doesn't just hand out compliments like candy. He's spent his career catching passes from quarterbacks with elite arms. He knows the difference between hype and reality, and when reporters asked him about Sanders, Jeudy didn't give the typical safe answer. Instead, he went all in. He said Sanders has one of the top arms in the entire league. Now, pause for a second. We're not talking about him saying Sanders has potential or that he can make all the throws. Jeudy skipped past the vague praise and dropped a bomb. He ranked this undrafted rookie's arm among the best in the NFL. That's not just rare, that's unheard of. The crazy part? Jeudy didn't just say it once, he doubled down. He went into detail about what impressed him most. It wasn't only the arm strength, although Sanders clearly has that. It was the accuracy, the touch, the timing. And perhaps most shocking of all, it was his ability to go through multiple progressions and still hit the right receiver, something rookies almost never do in their first practices. So why does Jeudy's opinion carry so much weight? Because this isn't a rookie receiver being dazzled by the first decent throw he's ever seen. This is Jeudy, a player who's shared a locker room with Russell Wilson, a Super Bowl champion known for deep ball precision. He's faced elite secondaries, studied film on the best defensive backs in the game, and caught passes in high-pressure moments. If he is saying Sanders' arm ranks among the best, fans and even coaches have to pay attention. And here's the thing. Jeudy didn't need to say any of this. Nobody would have batted an eye if he'd given the standard line about "he's improving" or "he's got talent." That's what veterans usually do with rookies, especially undrafted ones. But instead, Jeudy went off script. He was visibly impressed, almost excited, talking about Sanders. That kind of reaction is genuine. What makes this even more fascinating is the timing. Sanders wasn't expected to be a headline maker. He wasn't a first-round investment the team was trying to hype. He was supposed to be a camp body, someone filling reps so the veterans could rest. For a player like Jeudy to shine a spotlight on him out of nowhere, that tells you something real is happening behind the scenes. And Jeudy didn't just talk about arm talent. He praised Sanders' mental game. He pointed out how Sanders worked through all of his reads on a touchdown pass, hitting his last option with pinpoint accuracy. That's a level of decision-making that even veteran quarterbacks sometimes struggle with. For a rookie to do it in practice against NFL defenders? That's rare. That's the kind of detail veterans notice immediately. This is why fans started buzzing online after Jeudy's comments. It wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. You could hear the respect in his tone. You could sense that he wasn't just giving reporters something to write about. He was almost warning people, "Don't sleep on this kid." And if Jeudy is right, then the Browns might have something special brewing, the kind of story nobody saw coming. Because when a Pro Bowl receiver starts calling an undrafted rookie quarterback one of the best arms in the league, that's not preseason hype. That's a red flag to the rest of the NFL. But Jeudy's words were only the beginning. What happened next in those private practice sessions turned whispers into shockwaves. Highlight reels only tell part of the story. Fans see the touchdowns, the long completions, and the sideline celebrations. But what really defines a quarterback, especially a rookie, often happens far away from the cameras, on the quiet practice fields where reputations are built in front of teammates and coaches. And that's exactly where Shedeur Sanders began turning heads in Cleveland. At first, most players didn't think much of him. An undrafted rookie quarterback? Camp is filled with them every single year. Most arrive, take a few snaps, and disappear without anyone remembering their names. Veterans barely notice them. Coaches expect them to fill in reps and move on. Sanders could have easily been just another name on a long list of forgotten camp arms. But then, something unexpected happened. During practice, Sanders started threading passes that didn't look like rookie throws. He wasn't just hitting open receivers on simple routes, he was making throws into tight windows that made even the veterans raise their eyebrows. Defensive backs who thought they had good coverage suddenly found the ball zipping past their fingertips into a receiver's hands. Coaches watching from the sidelines began glancing at each other, as if asking the same unspoken question. Did you just see that? And it wasn't a one-time fluke. Sanders did it again. And again. By the end of the first week of camp, whispers started spreading across the field. Players who had barely noticed him before were suddenly talking about the rookie with the golden arm. One insider described it perfectly. You could feel the energy shift. Guys started paying attention whenever Sanders stepped under center. Everyone wanted to see what he'd do next. Even veteran defenders, players who've spent years going up against elite quarterbacks, began taking notice. They weren't just jogging through drills anymore. They were actually testing Sanders, trying to rattle him, trying to force the mistakes that most rookies inevitably make. But Sanders didn't flinch. He stayed calm, worked through his progressions, and kept delivering strikes. It was during these moments that Jeudy's comments started to make sense. This wasn't a receiver hyping up a teammate. This was Jeudy reacting to what he had seen with his own eyes. Those practices told the real story. Sanders wasn't just surviving camp, he was taking over reps like he belonged there. And ultimately, the mental side of Shedeur Sanders' game is what has Browns insiders buzzing. His talent is undeniable, but his mental fortitude is what truly excites coaches, veterans, and fans alike. If he can continue to grow in this area, balancing confidence with humility, resilience with discipline, he could transform not just his own career, but the entire trajectory of the Cleveland Browns. Because in the NFL, talent gets you noticed, but mental strength makes you a star. Quarterback play in the NFL is about far more than arm strength, speed, or even football IQ. It is about rhythm, timing, and trust. three qualities that only come from building chemistry with receivers. For Shedeur Sanders, this part of his journey with the Cleveland Browns may prove to be the most critical. After all, quarterbacks and receivers must be so in sync that they almost feel like extensions of one another. A slight hesitation, a misstep in a route, or a ball delivered just a fraction too late can mean the difference between a game-winning touchdown and a costly turnover. From the very beginning of training camp, Sanders seemed to understand this truth. Reporters noted how he stayed after practice with the receiving corps, running the same route combinations repeatedly until every detail felt second nature. It wasn't uncommon to see him on the field long after most players had already hit the showers, throwing pass after pass to ensure the ball landed exactly where his receiver expected it. This kind of dedication doesn't just build accuracy, it builds confidence in his teammates, who begin to feel like Sanders won't let them down when the lights are brightest. One of the most fascinating dynamics has been Sanders' connection with Jeudy. Jeudy, a player who has endured his share of struggles and criticism, suddenly found himself energized by the rookie quarterback's precision. Reports surfaced about Jeudy running crisp routes during joint practices and looking more like the first-round pick scouts once raved about. When asked about Sanders, Jeudy admitted that something just clicked. Shedeur had a knack for putting the ball in the exact spot where Jeudy could make a play. For a receiver who thrives on timing and clean breaks, that kind of accuracy is invaluable. But it wasn't just Jeudy. Veterans like Amari Cooper, known for his route-running artistry, also began spending more time with Sanders. Cooper's presence has been critical, offering both mentorship and chemistry-building opportunities. Sanders, who has always respected Cooper's technical precision, often picked his brain between drills, asking questions about spacing, leverage, and how to read a defender's hips. This back and forth not only sharpened Sanders' football IQ, but also forged a bond built on respect and shared goals. Even Donovan Peoples-Jones, a receiver who sometimes struggled with consistency in previous seasons, seemed to benefit from Sanders' commitment to building trust. Insiders reported moments in practice where Peoples-Jones caught passes in tight coverage, the ball delivered so perfectly that only he could come down with it. These flashes are the kind of moments that stick in the minds of coaches and teammates alike, signaling that Sanders isn't just another rookie trying to fit in, he's actively elevating those around him. The chemistry building didn't stop at the practice field. Sanders organized informal throwing sessions outside of team facilities, inviting receivers to join him for extra work. These gatherings not only strengthened timing, but also reinforced camaraderie. It showed his teammates that he wasn't satisfied with just doing the bare minimum. He wanted to be better, and he wanted them to be better with him. For receivers, that type of leadership is magnetic. It motivates them to match the quarterback's effort, knowing they are part of something larger than themselves. Building chemistry is also about communication. Sanders developed a reputation for his clear, constructive feedback. Instead of barking at a receiver for a mistake, he calmly explained what he saw and how they could adjust together. This approach stood out in an NFL environment where tempers can flare and egos can clash. His maturity in these moments hinted at something bigger, the potential to be not just a quarterback, but a leader who unites his offense through trust and understanding. Ultimately, the chemistry Sanders is cultivating with his receivers is laying the foundation for something special in Cleveland. It's one thing for a rookie to show flashes of talent, it's another to create genuine belief within his teammates. By showing consistency, accuracy, and an unrelenting work ethic, Sanders has convinced his receivers that he's a quarterback they can depend on. And in the unforgiving world of the NFL, that bond between quarterback and receiver often makes all the difference. When it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL, statistics tell only part of the story. You can have the strongest arm, the quickest release, and the sharpest football IQ, but if you can't command respect in the locker room, you'll never be trusted to lead a franchise. This is especially true in Cleveland, where the Browns' history is riddled with quarterback turnover and unmet expectations. For Shedeur Sanders, the son of NFL legend Deion "Prime-Time" Sanders, the challenge isn't just proving he can throw touchdowns, it's showing he can be the heartbeat of the team. From the moment Shedeur walked into the Browns facility, teammates and coaches noticed something different. He wasn't cocky, but he wasn't timid either. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and Shedeur seems to walk it perfectly. Veterans in the locker room, guys who've seen countless young quarterbacks come and go, were quick to acknowledge that Shedeur carried himself like he belonged. And in the NFL, first impressions matter. One of the first steps toward gaining leadership credibility is earning respect through work ethic. Teammates talk about how Shedeur is often the first to arrive at practice and the last to leave. He's not just throwing routes on air, he's sitting with linemen, asking about protections, talking to receivers about route timing, even chatting with defensive backs to better understand how they disguise coverages. Those small conversations send a big message. Shedeur isn't here to be just another rookie. He's here to understand every inch of the game. Another factor that has elevated Shedeur's presence is how he carries himself in huddles. Quarterbacks have to project calm. Even when the play clock is winding down, the crowd is deafening, and the defense is showing an unpredictable blitz. Reports out of camp suggest that Shedeur has that composure already. He doesn't bark orders just to sound authoritative, he communicates clearly and firmly, making sure every player in the huddle knows their role. That steady presence is what offensive lines crave, what receivers need, and what coaches want from their leader. But leadership isn't only about composure, it's about accountability. One story from training camp has already made the rounds. During a red zone drill, Shedeur threw a ball slightly behind his tight end, resulting in a tipped pass and an interception. Instead of shrugging it off or blaming the receiver, Shedeur walked straight over, owned the mistake, and explained what he should have done differently. That level of accountability stood out. Players know that if their quarterback is willing to own his mistakes, they'll be more willing to own theirs. It creates a culture where excuses are replaced by solutions. Veterans like Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb reportedly appreciate this approach. Cooper, known for being reserved but respected, has mentioned that Shedeur asks questions that rookies typically don't like, how he prefers certain routes against press coverage, or what his comfort zone is in breaking timing routes. Chubb, a man of few words, has been seen smiling and nodding when Shedeur addresses the huddle, which in itself speaks volumes. Respect in the locker room isn't always verbal. Sometimes it's shown in body language, in eye contact, in subtle gestures that confirm a player has earned trust. It also doesn't hurt that Shedeur has inherited some natural leadership qualities from his father. Deion Sanders wasn't just a Hall of Fame cornerback, he was a cultural icon who understood how to command attention while still delivering results. Shedeur, though much more understated, carries that same sense of presence. He doesn't need to wear flashy suits or make bold declarations. His calm demeanor and professional approach are enough to rally teammates around him. The Browns' locker room, historically divided by constant QB changes, seems to be rallying behind the idea that Shedeur could be different. Players are buying in not because of hype, but because they see his dedication, accountability, and composure. If Shedeur can continue to build on this foundation, leadership may become his greatest weapon, even more valuable than his arm strength or athleticism. Because, in the NFL, talent gets you on the field, leadership keeps you there. And for Shedeur Sanders, early signs suggest he has what it takes to command not just the Browns' offense, but the full respect of an NFL locker room. In today's NFL, the quarterback position has evolved into far more than just standing tall in the pocket and delivering accurate throws. The modern game demands adaptability, quick reflexes, and the ability to extend plays when protection breaks down. For Shedeur Sanders, this is where his skill set stands out and begins to separate him from many other young quarterbacks trying to carve out a spot at the professional level. His natural pocket presence, combined with underrated mobility, has become a focal point of conversations around his potential to earn and eventually hold the clé. If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.